Yo, 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 what up, though? DTX Nova in the building. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Big D, for having me.
Hey, no problem, man. You know what? It's been a minute since we had talked here and there online, but the first time we ever really just had a conversation in person is us sitting down.
Yes.
So I'm
yes.
excited to do this. So right now, how would you define yourself? Because we know you in the city, Texas Top 20, things of that nature. But if you could define and give DTX Nova a title, like, who are you? Or
If
what
I
is
were
it?
to give myself a title, I would call myself a mover and shaker.
Okay.
So within that, I feel like whatever anybody needs, I'm pretty much able to get the job done. So I do a lot of marketing, management, promotions. I work a lot with the blogs, help artists get interviews, media runs. Really just anything that connects the dots for anything. So you tell me you need something, I'm just gonna go figure out how to get it done and who we gonna connect you with that can do it for you. So
Got you. Now I know usually starting off when I saw you with, Texas Top 20 or whatnot. Can you kind of break that down? Because for the whole time, I just thought you was probably one of the few female bloggers that we had in the city.
for sure. So I do Texas Top 20. Within Texas Top 20 originally, we wanted it to be a DJ service. So we service out music to the DJs all around the United States, all the way from Atlanta, Texas, LA, New York, etc. So that was the sole purpose of it. Within that, we also come up with we got some new things coming up. We got some new segments coming. Just a whole lot of good stuff.
Got you. Now, earlier in the year and recently for the last 3 years, me and Dallas Global, we teamed up and we dropped the list, the Texas Gatekeeper list.
Mm-hmm.
And we catch a lot of flack because it was like, it's never really no female representation on there.
Yes.
I think the first year we did Duffy.
Okay. Yes. Shout out to Duffy.
But we sat down and we start kind of trying to think, like, because people was really honest about no female representation.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, your name came up in the mix as well.
Yes, I appreciate that. By the way.
Okay, kind of give me your take on the Dallas or the Texas Gatekeeper list and us not having females on there. What was your take on that?
My take is, us as a woman, we regardless of what people see or don't see, we get shit done. So at the end of the day, behind a lot of these powerful men that you guys did put on there, there is a woman behind them who is moving and shaking shit down. So we're not necessarily loud with what we do. So within there, I kind of understand why we're not on the list. But at the same time, it's a lot of work to be done, and women are coming up in the game, but we're just not to that standard of what you guys are looking for yet. And speaking for myself specifically, I know there's a lot of work to be done, and it's only a matter of time before a woman is on that list. So
Got you. Because I look at it like you hit a point that I push all the time. I was like, someone else also said like it's a lot of strong women behind those strong men. But I was like, but that's the case why you don't make the gatekeeper list. Mm-hmm. Like it should be a strong woman who can say it's other strong women behind that woman to put on the list. Like just because you to help and you helping this dude get his shine, don't make you the gatekeeper. Unfortunately, it was his company.
yeah, for sure. He was the face of it. He was the one that was the original orchestrator, and you have a team. Everybody has a team behind them, regardless of who they are. So, shout out to Dirty Glove Bubba. I know y'all put him on there, and being a woman behind his brand and everything that he has going on. I'm genuinely happy to see that for him. So I will say, though, being a woman behind the scenes, though, I still feel that, how should I say it? I still feel that it's a good, like, it's still a credit on me as well.
Gotcha.
Even though to the face of everybody doesn't see that face behind it, but to me, it's still a job well done too, because I know that I helped in some way, shape or fashion. I helped get him to that point, and to me, that's great.
Got you. Now, in the scene right now, I seen Change of Plans do a post with Mike Fresh with Top Off. And they counted up, it was like over 11 blogs or whatnot. And just like the DFW alone that's doing interviews and blogging and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. but the DFW still seem like it's really hard to get an artist on. With so much media and here located locally, and you having such a hands-on with artists doing their media runs, why do you think Dallas is still having a hard time just getting those artists to break mainstream?
In my from what I've noticed in the music industry, a lot of the poppin' artists are on radio. A lot of those people are on radio. These DJs, they're in the clubs. They can spin your track however much they want to, but if the radio isn't going to pick it up and break it as well, then the DJs are only playing that track for their 6-week run, and after that, what can they do if it's not going to that next level?
Who's listening to the radio? I don't think I can't even tell you.
It's still regardless if we don't really listen to the radio is still there, and they're really like a pivotal moment. So like for people that don't have a phone, stuff like that, or I mean, not everybody has a phone, but aren't phone suave and are able to listen to music and stuff like that. They're still very much big consumers in that market that are going to consume your music through the radio and are going to get you discovered in a different manner.
Got you. I did an interview with Say Cheese recently, and he said his favorite market of all markets, and more markets should be like them, is the Detroit music scene. Mm-hmm. Everybody in Detroit listens to Detroit. The radio plays Detroit. Mm-hmm. The clubs play Detroit. Why do you feel like the DFW is lacking in that area?
And I don't know. It's just one of those markets where it's money, money, money. You know. So unless you have the money to invest into those things out here, which is going to be high dollar considering the market, then you know that kind of speaks for itself. I think you know if you don't have the money to put your music on the radio and get those spins. And especially with this market, it's going to be a lot more expensive than it is per se elsewhere in like the Midwest, where it isn't as big as a consumer market as we are.
Gotcha.
But out there, they have they're trying to be a hub. They want to be that hub. So of course, in order to be that, they have to break those artists' music right now. Plus, they got a lot of good stuff going on.
For sure. When you look at the Dallas scene or the DFW scene, like how would you define it?
The DFW, I define the DFW music scene as a consumer market and strictly that. So whenever I come to when it comes down to an artist trying to break out of the DFW area, I would just say go take your money elsewhere, and the DFW will track after that.
Even with all the blogs here, they still need
with all the blogs. Of course you need you need the blogs. You know, you need that internet. At the end of the day, it's radio or internet.
Yeah.
So you have to have that internet, but you also have to have the radio as well. So that's the reason why these two aren't really making. They're not correlating out here.
Got you. Now let's talk about female in media, right? Why isn't it? And I guess when it comes to music, why doesn't it seem like females really stick when it comes to media? Like we don't have those major names in media when it comes to women. Because you got Angie Martinez, but I done seen her do like 4 or 5 different type of shows to try to latch on to her being such a hip hop legend in the media space. It just seemed like it don't stick for her. Now we see Angela Yee leaving Breakfast Club to do her own thing. I'm hoping it stick, but it seems like women just don't. If it ain't really talking about sex and relationships, it's like nothing else sticks. Why do you think that?
I'm not really sure. Whenever I look at, I also think of like Wendy Williams, for instance, but she's more on like the gossiping tip, of course. But a lot of things I just don't stick for women because of the nature of a lot of, like you said, a lot of it relates to sex and relationships. That's what a lot of people want to talk to about with women. And unfortunately, women are a little bit more emotional. So I don't know if behind the scenes, if there's some like emotional situations that might be going on to where those business partnerships don't succeed and keep going.
But I guess my question is, why don't women support women? Like, for example, WNBA struggles. Why? Because women don't go watch women. Everybody complaining like, Brittany Griner would have been, if it was LeBron, he would have been out. Things of that nature. But it's like women just don't support women in certain things. I think like music, when it's like music talk or sports talk, it's like women, I guess y'all just have no interest.
Yeah, well, majority women aren't into these type of things. I mean, there are women that are into sports, but I don't know many women that are buying into sports.
Gotcha.
Same
Gotcha.
thing. I don't know many women. I mean, women buy into music for sure. Women are going to be the ones that are going to buy the tickets, buy the merch. They're going to be able the ones to do that, of course. But when it comes to being a woman doing it and having other women, it's I don't I've never really understood that myself though.
So I know women always say like it's hard being a woman in the music industry or any industry because men tend to always come after them for sex.
Mm-hmm.
But every show that a woman does, or every time she releases a new project or a new visual, it's all sex.
Mm-hmm. Sex sells, unfortunately.
But it's kind of one of those things where women hate men coming from sex, but they also,
but we also promote it as well.
But they say sex sells, but the crazy thing is women are the biggest consumers. So it's not even with the sex showing, it's not even the dude still buying the ticket, it's still the women. Why do you feel women are so enticed and drawn into sex, but then don't want to be approached for sex?
I think it's more so just the that's a good question. To me, let me think about that for a second.
No problem.
Okay, so I see it like this. Like even we're naturally we're naturally a sexual, person, of course. But at the same time, we only navigate within our comfortability. So if we're comfortable with it, as far as if we're listening to a woman that's talking about the things that we like to do with our man behind closed doors, of course, we're going to naturally gravitate towards that. But at the end of the day, we have to set a certain standard as well, especially for the young ladies that do listen, because at the end of the day, those are our future as well. So we do have to be kind of mindful of certain situations when it comes to the youth as well. But I only say that really just to say that, there are still certain boundaries that have to be put in position, regardless if we're viewed as being sexual or not sexual.
So I guess my question is this: like, if a woman is dressing provocatively, selling sexy, and dudes begin to approach her for sex, are the dudes out of line?
The dudes are only get out of line if it's disrespectful. That's just whenever, you always have to, you have to understand a boundary at that point.
Gotcha.
Regardless of how I or another woman may perceive ourselves, that respect still has to be there at all times. And I mean, of course, a guy is going to try whatever he can try. I mean, but that's just human nature.
Yeah.
But nobody's wrong. The only thing that makes it wrong is the approach, how you come about it. A lot of guys are a lot of like real aggressive. That's not cool. Some people might be into that, but majority of women aren't not into the super aggressive type.
Yeah, because I kind of look at it like, you ever seen, like, it's almost like a chef cooking food, right? When you got a chef who cook food, they post food, they talk about how good the food is, and then when somebody coming like, hey man, I want to taste some of that food, and then the chef get offended by the person who wants some of the delicious food that they posting. I feel like kind of women do the same thing to men, like, yeah, look at it, but don't say nothing to me.
I feel like it's a certain type of etiquette, especially like on the chef's floor. Like it's a certain type of etiquette you have to move. It's a boundary, you have to, whenever you go to, I know like Asian countries, you can't, you might want to go in with a spoon to eat your soup, but real life they want you to pick up the bowl and eat it.
Gotcha.
It's just certain things that, you just have to observe in a sense before you actually just go for whatever it is exactly that you're trying to do.
So with Angela Yee leaving the Breakfast Club, does it impact or affect the show?
I feel like, you just kind of lose that femininity to it. So, you don't really have as much of the women perspective or that grounding to
What if
it.
they replace the woman?
If they replace the woman, it would just really just depend on that woman, to bring the wholesomeness into it, and can also bring in somebody that can break down a situation better than how other people are perceiving it, which I think Angela really had a good, what was her big, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a really good quality about her was that she was able to break the situation down to kind of get everybody to understand it and give a common grounding for things. So if a woman comes in and can do that, then maybe so, but I don't really feel like it would be the Breakfast Club anymore. Maybe they would have to go towards something different.
I kind of look at it like this. As long as they got Charlamagne, everybody else can kind of leave.
So you feel like maybe he should have like his own. I
don't feel like he need to. I mean, he do his own thing. I think Charlamagne was forward thinking because let's be honest, radio is coming to an end. It's a dinosaur. It's like it's CDs and things of that nature. I mean, I understand there's still people there, but that listen to the radio, but it doesn't have the power that it once had. And Charlamagne was smart enough to know that. That's why he started jumping into the podcast world, the Black Effect podcast, where he jumped into doing all of that because he know it's only a matter of time. Ever since COVID happened and Breakfast Club had to leave the studio and go shoot out their houses, it wasn't the same impact. People probably wasn't watching as much. You couldn't get those iconic interviews. Everyday Joe was able now to pick up their phone and do their own shows from the house. So we start getting entertained by watching other people's stuff or even listening to just people's voices on Clubhouse. So when Breakfast Club came back, it just didn't have the same impact. So I think Charlamagne know that, hey man, we was gonna ride this out, probably fulfill whatever his contract is, and off to the sunset because he already got something going on. So with Angela with lip service. So right now, I kind of want to touch your brain a little bit on artists and album sales because me and Cotton debated about this a little bit on the interview we just did about Chris Brown. We was debating whether or not Chris Brown falling off. Like here you go, you had Drake who sold 300-some thousand copies first week. Kendrick came and sold 200-some thousand. And then here you go, Chris Brown sold like 80,000 first week. And when we think of Chris Brown, we think of somebody that's up there on that tier with them. 80,000 is still a good number. We're not saying that he don't have a cult following. But do you feel like the Chris Brown era is over with? Selling 80,000 in 1 week.
Oh, man. I just want to say this. Chris Brown was like one of my favorite artists growing up as a kid. So I would say that his media presence doesn't seem to be like his media as far as like those pictures and stuff that that stuff genius. He's going crazy with that and he's getting the social media up with that. But I haven't really seen no real media presence, no real big PR outside. You're at every little thing pushing that. Hey, I'm having an album. Because if I were to be completely honest with you, I really didn't even know he was going to be dropping an album anytime soon. But I haven't kept him on my radar as long.
But I mean, just be honest, we didn't really see Drake do no PR. I mean, Chris Brown did do some interviews. So he was on $1 million worth of Game, I believe. He did
the Drink Champs, maybe.
I mean, he did a couple of try to jump out and get in front of camera. Drake, we didn't see no interviews. Kendrick, we didn't see no interviews. Here they are, a couple of 100,000. Yeah,
it's just that thing. Like me, as soon as Drake drops, I'm on it. Like he doesn't even have to. He don't even have to let us know that he's dropping. He can tell us a couple hours before that he has something new dropping. Everybody's gonna migrate towards it. Same with Kendrick because we kind of yearn for it. Like we're like itching. We're like, yeah, we need this, we need that, and it just hasn't been that for a long time for Chris Brown. He's been in he's had a lot of hits when it comes to like features with other people, but I haven't recently had like a really big Chris Brown track where I was like solely Chris Brown where it really just went crazy up.
Because I mean, I look at it like, what do you think is the impact of Chris Brown? Is it that we just don't consume R&B that much no more? Like the younger generation not really into R&B.
They're like the NBA Youngboys for sure.
But even NBA Youngboy, let's talk about it. He just dropped the album and it did like 80 something, right? 100 and something. And they was expecting that because of the numbers he get on YouTube and things that it was going to go through the roof. I would say maybe the Chris Brown and the Youngboy thing may not necessarily be they fell off. I just think the younger generation don't buy CDs. Why should they? They didn't grow up with
Yeah,
that.
and they're not the ones that are buying it. It's the parents that
Yeah,
are buying it. It's the parents that are paying for the monthly subscriptions on Apple Music,
yeah,
Spotify, Tidal, etc. So they're the parents are going to be the ones that buy the tickets, the merch for these kids
yeah,
on, you know. So um, it really comes down to the youth. Chris Brown had it when he had me as a youth, you know.
yeah,
So um, it's just with Chris Brown. You know, he might have just had his wave.
yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, music changes. Music isn't how Chris Brown music isn't like how it was before. But what I can say about what Drake is different is I can kind of get that consistency with Drake, and I can kind of expect it to kind of be the same.
Yeah.
And with Chris Brown, it is not as it's not as good as it was back when I was a kid.
Mm. Do you think because his talent level went down, or you just got older?
Gets older, you get older, experiences become different. We might not experience the same thing because we live in different worlds. He grew up in the industry, so he has a whole different perspective than maybe we have, and maybe that music just doesn't connect the way he might think it might. It connects with us, and it doesn't.
Got you. Now, I recently got cussed out by Charleston White on the internet because I was using his name, but I never asked a female how do they feel about Charleston White, and how do you feel that he's literally, if you want to call, you might as well just call him an artist. He's the biggest artist in Texas right now.
Artist, I would call him more so like a influencer type.
Mm.
Um, he, but other than that, I mean, I see exactly what he's doing. I'm not against it at all because I mean, some of the things that he does say, I mean, they do make a lot of sense, and our culture is turning for the worst, unfortunately. So,
How so?
it's just a lot of more violence. It's a lot more internet and violence. Those two things don't mix up together. Of course, before violence has always been there, but we didn't have the internet part there, and where the internet makes things a lot more bigger than what they really should be. So, I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, there are just certain things that maybe you got to politic behind cameras about.
Gotcha. Now, you got a rise of a few artists like Big X the Plug. He going up.
Yes.
Who are some people in Dallas, man, that you like, or the DFW area that you rocking with, that's on your radar, that you've been working with, or people should know about?
Big X the Plug for sure. Other than Big X the Plug, I have my two artists, Road Run Semo and J100. Definitely got to keep them on the radar. Also, I really, I'm not on their team or nothing, but I genuinely like what he has going on, and that's Zach Savage. I really like what Zach Savage has going on, and whatever he needs, I'm pretty much trying to, you know, help him out. If anybody comes to the city, like we just did this back of the class from Memphis, they came to Dallas, and I made sure he was one of the people that I mentioned on there. Because I believe he's truly talented. I think he has a great look for everything. So I can't wait to see what he does with it for sure.
Let's talk about Road Run Semo, because we consider him for the gatekeeper list too. Low key, we definitely considered him.
He's making moves, making big moves, bigger moves than a lot of people are making for sure.
Like, for those who may not even heard of Road Run Semo, like, how would you define him? How would you describe him to someone?
I would describe him as the epitome of a businessman. You know, he is a straight businessman. Everything that he does, it all makes sense. His branding is on point, marketing is on point. He knows how to make money. So when somebody knows how to make money, regardless of what it is, he's going to make sure he gets it back. That's just straight hustler mode. So I really admire that. Even from as an entrepreneur, I definitely admire that. And you know, the music's just one aspect. He has the merch. He has the cereal bar. He has so many things that he wants to do. It's just a matter of time of him getting to do it. And I just can't wait for you guys to see what he does have in store. But yeah, one word to describe him would definitely be a hustler and businessman for sure.
I'll tell you, it's dope, man. I actually had a chance to meet him for the first time when Icewear Vessel was here, when he did the hub.
The hub, yeah.
And that's when I saw Road Run Semo. And we kind of locked in for the first time, for sure.
Yeah, that was a dope experience. And the thing is, it's like that, like people in the HUD didn't even know what other people were in the building just strictly off that, just because like we're not as in tune with like the Midwest as, you know, as we would like to be, of course. But, you know, in the building, you had Louis Ray, you had a whole bunch of dope people from the Midwest there that night. And a lot of people really didn't know about it, you know, and it was kind of a cool experience because they were able to see stuff go on without having to be approached and all eyes on them.
Yeah.
But it was a dope experience because me personally, my artist J100, he's worked with Louis Ray before. I didn't know what Louis Ray looks like. Whole time we're standing right next to him and they're chopping it up. I'm just thinking Lou Ray might be like a fan of my artist, you know, because he's coming up to him like, "What's up, bro?" And I'm like, "Who is this guy?" And then afterwards, he's like, "Oh yeah, that was Louis." I was like, I didn't even know that was him, you know. So it's just like little things like that. That's dope because it's creating that bridge for sure.
For sure. Now, when it comes down to approaching you for your services and things of that nature, like, how do artists get in touch with you, and like, what's some of the do's or don'ts when approaching you?
I would say the don't is the "What's up, bro?" like messages. Like I get those all the time, and I just want to be like, what makes you think I'm your bro? Like, or I'm a bro to be broing, you know, because you know, at the end of the day, I'm a respectable person. So, you know, just say, hey, what's up? You know, you could leave the bro out. The bro kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if that's just them trying to be friendly or I don't know what the case may be, but it cuts me the wrong way though, for sure.
Got you.
So I would say that's a big don't. But do send me cash apps. Do send me a deposit, you know?
Yeah, there we go.
It's just a lot of talk. It's just a lot of messaging, a lot of inquiring, a lot of window shopping, but not enough work getting put in. So unfortunately, due to that, you know, unfortunately, some of the serious artists, they kind of get lost in the feed because of the not so serious people who are coming in. But I will say, like, really just meeting with me in person is going to be the best way to lock in with me.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Well, I tell you what, DTX Nova, I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You know, hopefully next we can get you on these gatekeeper lists.
Hey, that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to turn up for the ladies, you know, really just get this work in and kind of shift the typical narrative of the DFW and really just get this Texas shit going.
Hey, well, you know, whatever I can do to help, assist, you know, we always reach out and collab.
Yes.
Hey, until we meet again.
Yes. And also, before I get off, I just wanted to take a shout out to Terry Blue right here. You know, he introduced me to Big D, so I do definitely appreciate that.
My son.
And I'm definitely going to give him his flowers, so
I appreciate it. You giving him his flowers, and then he gives them to me. And I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Until we meet again.
Yes.
Peace.